following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to The People's View.
Hello, and help me welcome Don Lebrun, representative in the House in Ward 5. And also, I think you have the most committees that anybody else is on.
I think I have 23 of them now.
23 of them. And you're also an alderman, so I don't know, does your wife say hello in the morning? And
Well, I've got an application into God to try to get some extra hours put in each day.
I see.
You know, I mean, he's the only one who can handle that.
Well, we had enough hours going last 2 days, didn't we, Don?
Oh, we sure did.
That was something else. I think we handled over, what, 150, 250?
We had 250. I think we come in just under 200.
Just under 200.
We have 52 to go.
So they're saving it up for the week after next, I guess.
Yeah.
So we can remind ourselves.
Going to let us recuperate a little bit.
All right.
Got some good stuff coming up, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think we got a little punchy at the end, though.
It was a circus. It was a circus.
Yeah, I know. We're trying to get some of the non-controversial.
Non-debatable, yeah.
And it sounded like there was an auction.
Like firecrackers going off.
But anyway, there were a lot of good things that came out, a lot of bad things that came out. One of the things that I think we were a little bit upset about is the way they pulled out the $4 million for the rail program out of the 10-year transportation thing. Yeah. We had worked on that, and we had kept it in there in the committee, but I unfortunately had a medical appointment that morning and didn't get to vote on it.
So you say.
So I say.
So I say.
You want my doctor's name?
Yeah, I want a note from the doctor.
But I came in just as you guys were voting for it, and I couldn't even get in there to vote.
We only needed 4 votes.
Yeah, well,
overturn it.
It would have been 3, but that wouldn't have made any difference.
And promises don't always mean anything because sometimes the last-minute promises go away.
Well, they somehow didn't get through. I mean, it was so long that nobody wanted to do.
Call it what it is, Carl. It was dirty politics.
Well,
absolute filthy, snake-ridden politics.
That was
prearranged.
Prearranged. Well, it might have been, but that's been done before. You want?
It happens all the time.
Because you can reconsider. That's a method, a parliamentary method of getting people to change their mind and maybe vote differently.
Well, that's where the dirty politics came in, when the reconsider came up.
Well,
and that's the wrong place for it.
Well, that may be true, but that's the way sometimes you can only get success at what
No. You're not going to pawn this one off, Carl.
Well, I'm not backing that or not.
How soon we forget the balsams?
Oh yeah.
How soon we forget the deal that we made with the people up north to help them pass the balsams.
That's true.
And get what they wanted, even though they lied to us. We still helped them. Now when we ask them for their help to get rail, they walk away from us.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't anything that was going to come out of our pocket. I think that's the thing.
Absolutely no money whatsoever.
One thing that convinced me was that this was all money that we wouldn't have to repay.
Right.
It would do a planning, get all the permitting and everything out of the way. We wouldn't run into things like that happened on the 93 when they had all sorts of ecological problems.
Yeah.
So at least we would have had that all set. And we would have gotten some kind of a commitment out of Massachusetts.
Yes.
And if we didn't get commitment out of Massachusetts, the place that isn't going to go anywhere anyway.
And how did they defeat it? They brought up the MBTA. Now, you know, I could care less about the MBTA and what problems they're having with the Green Line or the T or whatever down in Boston. This had nothing to do with that. But they kept instilling that in people's head that this was the same thing as the MBTA. It's not the same thing. It has nothing to do with that.
Well, the financing is all different anyway. And
totally different.
It wouldn't be under the control.
It's credits that we have coming to us, $250 million worth, and all we wanted was $4 million.
Yeah. No, that I understand that, and I understand the fact that the whole grant isn't like Broad Street, where if we didn't complete that, we would have had to pay back so many
No, absolutely not.
tens of millions of
Wouldn't have had to
dollars.
pay back anything.
Yeah. But you know, and I think moving step by step, this whole thing was approved way back, what, 8, 10 years ago?
Something like that.
And then they decided to go for Concord, and that killed the whole
Yeah.
plan.
Well, if you remember in 2010, when the whole group of us first went to the State House,
Yeah.
we met with Chris Williams at the time, who
Right.
was head of the Chamber of Commerce, and we made an agreement with him that
Uh-huh.
we would work with him.
Yeah.
Even though some of us didn't agree, we made an agreement that we would try to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I've kept my promise up until now.
Mm-hmm.
There are some who haven't kept their promise. I won't go there. They know who they are.
Well, I think that
fortunately, some of them aren't in the House anymore.
I think we have a new mayor. Maybe he can start over on this, but he does have to bring the neighbors in on it.
Mhm.
You got to get support. I mean, he can read right from the paper. Merrimack didn't have any supporter from,
Mhm.
and Hollis had one person, and Hudson didn't have anybody.
Mhm.
But if you get get the towns that are spread out east and west from us, and work with Manchester and the towns up there.
He will do that. He will do that. He's only been in office 2.5 months.
Oh, I
In fact,
understand
it's
that.
only been 2 months, not 2.5
Yeah.
months. I think he's going to be good to work with. I think he's reasonable. If he has a problem, he doesn't try to sneak behind your back.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to you and he sits down to talk to you about it. That's the way you do things. You work with people, not against people. And,
Well-
and for some reason, right now, we've got so many people working against us. I've sponsored many bills. I don't sponsor a bill unless I have at least 30 or 40% of the opposite party supporting the bill with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's
Because
a good way of operating.
You need the opposite side's presence. You need their support. For some reason, there are people who just don't get that.
Well, I think you have to make a very strong effort to educate these people, because the first people that talk to them set their thought process. You know, they're thinking that all this is another boondoggle which we throw money at.
Yeah, but
And-
you've got so many people that look at the title of a bill and make a determination off the title.
Right.
And I can give you a good example. We had a bill come to us that wanted to defund Planned Parenthood. Okay, that was the top of the bill. An investigation to defund Planned Parenthood. The second half of the bill was penalties against Planned Parenthood. You can't put the two in the same bill.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be investigating somebody and penalize them at the same time before they're found guilty? You can't do it.
Well, that's a good point. There are other things that HHS was your vice chair of, is
Mhm.
that? So you're intimate with the knowledge of these things, and this is the expanding Medicaid program. That was
the
a close
extended
one.
Medicaid, not expanded. Extended.
Extended.
It does not expand a thing.
All right. Very good.
That's got to
Because
be
I
made
think
clear.
That has to be. I agree.
And
with
that's
you.
another problem with what I mean by people looking at a title or just being told something. You've got to know what you're talking about. It's extended Medicaid. The only thing we did was extend the date 2 years. It's the same program. We didn't change a thing.
No, but you are opening it up to new people.
There are new people coming in all the time, and there
Yeah.
are people dropping out all the time. That's the nature of the beast.
But okay. We won't play wordsmithing games. But it was the closest thing you can get with the tie vote and having the speaker have break.
That was
break the
amazing.
tie.
That was amazing.
So,
But I give him credit. He did not hesitate.
no.
He
Well-
didn't hesitate 1 second. As soon as he saw he had to vote, he voted.
No, I agree
That's
with
a
you.
good. That's a good person.
Well, he made a good statement in the beginning too. It wasn't one that he was going to measure anybody's loyalty by,
That's
but he
right.
was backing it from the
right.
beginning because he thought it was viable and under control, and had enough safety measures in there of ending it if it got out of control, essentially.
I mean, you and I talked about this the last time I was in here.
Yeah.
We talked about it, and there again, people have to know who is on this. All they want to talk about is the few, the very few, that may be fraudulent cases.
Hmm.
And that's just a handful. That's probably less than 20 people, maybe. They don't want to talk about the 32,000 children that are on it through no fault of their own. Innocent children.
Well, how much does the child's health programs cover some of those children? I thought that's, if necessary, they were covered under another program.
They're covered under various programs.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, they don't have to participate in this because it is an insurance type of
Right.
program.
Right.
And that's another thing that I don't think people really felt.
They don't really understand that.
The insurance part allows them to use a program that reimburses the doctors in a fairer amount than Medicaid does.
Mhm.
I don't know what the difference is, how much it is.
I'm not sure the figures, so I don't want to quote any figures right now. But it's still not a good return.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's not the doctors don't get a fair return on it. But
Well, I know a
it's-
lot of the federal programs are just going to be running out too. And,
Yeah.
they're taking money from Medicaid.
Yeah.
And
They allow to take money from your Social Security.
yeah, and that's something that bothers me too, because that is something we directly pay into, and now they're treating it as a what do you call it? Oh, not an
I
endowment.
know what you're
What's
calling
the word?
the fund. Yeah.
Yeah, it's now it's supposedly something that it's like charity. They're
Well,
treating.
I want to hear the first presidential candidate that says, instead of using the word reform, uses the word restore.
Okay,
I want to
restore
hear the first
what?
one. I want to hear the first one that says, we are going to restore all the money we stole.
Oh, okay, that. Yeah.
Every penny we stole
See,
from
we
people.
got all those IOUs in there,
Uh-huh.
right?
That you opened a box and you got a whole pile of paper.
Right.
That's all you've got.
Uh-huh.
But all they want to talk about is reforming. What's to reform? If you hadn't stolen to start with, you wouldn't have to reform.
That's right. Anyway, I agree that hey, we got a couple things we're agreeing on, Don. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's not a good sign.
Well, there's a few
But we're
other
both
things.
Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, so we should agree on something.
Well, we do. I think we're conservative fiscally and somewhat socially, but it depends on. I think we both want a better managed government.
Oh, sure.
I'm beginning to believe that as much as the federal government is too big,
Mhm.
the state government might be too
Well,
big.
that's why I liked the conversation we had this morning with the commissioner,
Mm-hmm.
because he assured us that and for the sake of the audience, he's only been in office about 8 weeks now, but he is already meeting with every single agency to find out what they're doing right, what they're not doing at all, and what they need to do. And next month, he's going to come back and report back to us on how he's going to reorganize things to attempt to get a better product out of the departments that he's overseeing.
That'll be an interesting meeting.
Yeah, it will be.
Let
It
me
will
know
be.
when it is.
18th of April.
18th of
18th
April.
of April. That's what it's tentatively scheduled for now.
Okay. Well, that's good
But
because
he's an extremely likable individual. I think he's going to do a great job. He's a real go-getter. I mean, he's into everything, and he's very accessible.
good.
Always accessible. All we have to do is pick up the phone and call him. He'll say, "I'll be right there."
Well, he's handling almost half the budget as far as
47%. Yeah.
yeah. So he's got a lot in his hands, that's
He's
for
got a lot
sure.
on
And I
his
know
hands.
people have been talking whether it's grown too big for itself to be governed the way it is.
Well,
But,
you know my thoughts on that. HHS is too big for itself,
Mhm.
and I hope that what he's doing by talking to these agencies and considering reorganizing the way they do things and do away with the overlapping and whatnot, that's been my problem for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
There's just too much duplicity, uh, and that just grows government. And one department not speaking to another, that's the way they do it. Oh, I
Yeah.
need this, and I need that, and you need this, and
Well, there was two things that came up. I mean, one is the fact that there's an audit that came out in February
Mhm.
looking at the mental health thing and
Mhm.
how disorganized that was. I never saw an audit report. As maybe people don't know that the audit reports come out, they look at the financial operation of a department and they look at the programmable
Mhm.
operation, how it's run.
And at the bottom, they tell you what you need to do to straighten it out.
And they tell you how long it takes. Now, there
Yeah,
was, of course, there was,
unfortunately, some of them are still waiting.
that's right. This one report that came out referenced one item that was from 2010.
Yeah.
And
Oh, they go
that's,
back further than that.
yeah.
I've seen them from 2004, 2005.
I know you showed me your book of
Yeah,
those and going
yeah.
through it, but this one was the most damning of it. And so that means that a lot of attention is going to have to be paid to it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is one of the bills that came up was limiting the amount of managers they have because they
I
talked
talked to him about that
that.
this morning.
Oh, did you?
He gave me an answer that I can accept.
Oh, what was that?
He spelled out for me what a caseworker's job entails. And my question to him was, if you have a person who is extremely highly educated, has all sorts of degrees as a qualification to have that job, why does that person need a supervisor?
Yeah.
And he had a good answer for it. And that was that the caseworkers are so overworked, and he told me he can prove it to me, he can show me what they do, but they're so overworked and they have such a vast area to cover that all they can do is take care of their case and take care of the paperwork, and they need a supervisor to actually organize everything they do. Otherwise, they can't do their job.
But one supervisor per person?
No,
Okay.
one supervisor for 6 caseworkers.
Okay.
And these people are inundated with work.
I'm not,
So that
I'm
supervisor
not
is
quarreling with
doing
that,
6
but
people's work.
what the person who put in that legislation said that there were a high, 25% of the professional staff were supervisors, and a lot of them only had one person reporting to them.
What it is they have a pyramid effect, and you've got, say you've got 6 caseworkers on the bottom rung. You've got a supervisor over here on this side that supervises those 6. Then you've got a supervisor at the same level on the opposite side. He supervises those in the next tier up. It's not that they're duplicating and both supervising that same amount of people. One is supervising those certain caseworkers. The other one is supervising this supervisor as well as supervising the next tier of
Well, the numbers don't
caseworkers.
work out to show that according to what he had.
25% is a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
It's totally ridiculous. I know the bill you're talking about. I know the individual that filed it, and I simply don't agree with his numbers.
Okay. Well, it's something he just pulled from the.
He pulled it
sheets.
out of a hat.
Yeah, no, well, not out of a hat. It was
Well,
actually
hey.
the listing of the people that
He tried to be a
salaries.
magician. He tried to pull the rabbit out of the hat.
I'll disagree with you there because there's an easy way of looking at it, and I think that's one of the things they have to look at. Though, is are those people really supervisors? Because even in business, we have that problem.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
And we
pe-
are looking at it. That's why I asked him the question,
Yeah.
and that's why I asked for the explanation. And again, he told me he will get me more information on and show me exactly what they're doing.
We're going to have a good discussion at the end of April, aren't we?
I hope so. I hope so. In
'Cause,
fact, it's possible maybe we can get him to come in here.
sure, you'd be welcome anytime.
I mean, that would be a great interview.
Yeah.
'Cause the guy is tremendous.
All
He really
right.
is.
Let's,
I think I'll give him, say, to the 1st of June, and I think he will be in control of everything.
well, if we had one meeting in April, then in June, mid-June, I guess just before it close up, we could see how far he's gotten.
That's
Might be.
just before you close up.
Yeah. You last.
I don't
you
get to
don't-
close up. I work for my constituents, Carl.
I see.
I work
see.
for them. I work for them constantly. 5 days a week I work for them, 8 hours a day. And,
Oh, you
and,
work-
and,
you
and
work
in some
more than
cases,
8
in some cases, 14 and 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
See? My constituents can rest assured that I'm working for them.
Well, you get both. You get cover a lot of bases being as an
Absolutely.
alderman also.
Absolutely.
Uh,
When I leave here, I have to go home and answer my phone calls.
okay, that's nice.
Yeah. And my emails. 150 emails a day.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I know you do. It's fun,
I
isn't
think.
it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hard to keep
But
up
they all
with all
deserve.
those.
But they all deserve recognition.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what other things did you find interesting in the last 2 days?
Oh boy, looking at my field, HHS, the one bill that really irritated me that it failed was the drug prescription health safety information.
Oh,
That's a database where doctors can keep track of the prescriptions between the doctor and the pharmacy, can keep track electronically of the prescriptions that they put out. So to try to curtail doctor hopping.
yeah.
You've got people that go to 2 and 3 doctors demanding a certain medication, and the doctors can't figure out whether they're going to somebody else or not.
Yeah.
It failed because of privacy issues. Well, you know, anybody, and 99% of the people have a cell phone. Anybody that has a smartphone is giving up more information than they realize. So it's not a privacy issue.
Mm-hmm.
And the bill had triggers in it that stated that certain things, according to HIPAA, could not be divulged. You couldn't have a person's name on
Yeah.
the
Listen.
report.
Yeah.
You could not have their address. Of course, no social security number. All sorts of personal information couldn't be included. This was just to say that this doctor gave medication to a number. And the pharmacist could look that up on a database and look at that number only and say, well, this guy filled that prescription across town yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it was about.
So you just cross-check. You
That's all.
look at by number and by doctor.
By number, the doctor has a number, the patient has a number.
Mhm.
That's all. That's not divulging anybody's privacy.
No, I agree.
And like I say, if you've got a smartphone, you're giving up more information than you care to know. Probably information you don't even know about yourself.
That's true. That's true. So
And that you know why that failed. Again, it's.
well, that's going to go over to the Senate. You think the Senate might resurrect it?
I
The Senate
doubt it.
can do that.
I doubt it.
No.
I know the people
Was
who
it
were on.
ITL'd? Or just
Was it ITL'd? No, it went down.
study?
Nope, not even going on. It was just killed. It was.
Okay.
We recommended it ought to pass, and they ITL'd it
Oh, okay. They ITL'd it.
by a wide margin, 286 to 64. And
Well,
I
there-
thought that bill would pass easily.
Yeah. There were a couple other surprises in there from the different departments. Commerce had an awful lot of
Yeah.
bills. I don't know if the audience realizes that what we do to try to cut back the time it takes to go through these bills is ones that the committees handle, and they're like 20 to nothing or 18 to 2, go on a consent calendar.
Here's your consent calendar.
Yeah. I don't know how many were in there.
46 pages of bills,
Of-
probably 180 bills in there, something like that.
Yeah,
And of course, they all get voted on at one time because they're cut and dry.
right.
So one vote takes care of the entire calendar.
So if anybody wants to ever look at something to give them a little bit of restfulness or something about how easy some of this stuff is, that they can look at the consent calendar. But anybody can pull even a 20 to nothing bill off a consent calendar and have discussion if they feel it's important.
Right.
So that's
As long as they're willing to go to the floor and debate it.
Right.
You got some people that, for whatever reason, are nervous about speaking on a bill, and they will not pull it because they know they're going to have to speak on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they won't do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's human nature.
Well, tell us a little bit about what's happening with the aldermanic programs that you've
Well,
been handling.
You know, I'm newly elected at that. We've only had 4 meetings. We have passed some good bills. Some we're still on first or second reading.
Mhm.
And, everything's going good right now. I'm finding out what the procedure is because it's entirely different than what we do in the House. In fact, the first night I stumbled and, and I said, "Mr. Speaker," to the president, and he looked at me like, I'm not the speaker. But I had just come from Concord,
Yeah.
and it was Mr. Speaker all day or Mr. Chairman all day, and it was just natural to come right out.
So they're gonna have budget problems or anything? I've been watching the Board of
Uh,
Education. They're making some cuts that may or may not go over well.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of uh, contracting out the maintenance people.
Uh-huh.
I'm not in favor of that at all. It's 101 jobs. Uh, from what I've seen of some of the contracts, personally, and this is just me, I'm not sure that the companies that are bidding on this are really aware of what it entails. I
Okay.
just don't think they are.
Well, are these contracts for a long period of time or what? How do they run?
Well, none of them have been let yet. They're just in the bidding stage.
Okay. But the contract must have some conditions. Is this last X number of years?
But that's debatable with
Oh,
each
okay.
company.
Negotiable?
It is negotiable.
Okay.
And they've got some figures on what it will cost. And if you just look at the bottom line, you look at the figure. Sure, it's going to save a whole
Right.
bundle of money.
I'm surprised
But-
at the numbers they're throwing around.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Oh.
I mean, you've got to look into how long these people have been in these jobs, how established they are. You even have to look at the fact that these people have families outside of that job. They've got families they're raising. They're well established in the community. They're doing a great job. The contracts that they're working under were negotiated.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden somebody's upset about what they're paying them. Well, they negotiated the contracts.
Well, and if nothing else, I mean, if you do keep them, maybe you can use the numbers you got from these other companies to negotiate their salaries, because that's the big thing. I mean,
Anything's
when you hear
possible.
that there's $1 million savings or more, that's hard to turn down.
Yeah, but where did that come from? All of a sudden, did a light bulb go off, and all of a sudden somebody said, "Oh, gee, we've negotiated too much money for these people. We need to get lower paid
Well,
people
maybe
in
the
here."
light bulb went on to some of the people that are on the Board of Education.
Maybe the light bulbs went off.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, they have quite a job to do.
But if you negotiate a contract, you can't expect that contract to come in less next time. It's always going to come in at least at a level keel or more.
Well,
There's never been a
but it
contract that
amounts
came
up.
in less, unless the whole scope of the thing was changed and you
Yeah.
started from scratch.
Well, Don,
It
it's
doesn't
been
work
nice
that way.
talking to you, but we've run out of time, as you can
Oh
see.
my golly!
And we'll have to do
How
this
come you
again.
and I always run out of time so
We
quick?
talk too much.
27 minutes goes back in less than 10.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gone.
So thank you again, and we'll have to come back in about a month or maybe 6 weeks and find out more about HHS and more about the Senate bills. We haven't even
Yep.
talked about the bills that originated in the Senate.
Yeah, we've got about 8 bills coming out of the Senate coming to us.
Okay.
We've got a tough haul between the House and the Senate with, the people who are on the Senate
Yeah,
don't quite agree with the people that are in the House.
that's true. That's true.
So
But we
there's-
get paid the same amount of money.
Yeah, we all make our $100 a year.
And run every 2 years.
It's not
so
about the
that's
money,
right.
Carl.
Well, thank you for listening in. And don't forget that the Nashua Republican Organization City Committee has a meeting every second Thursday of the month at the Crown Plaza. So please come, listen to an interesting speaker, and learn more about the politics of New Hampshire. And don't forget, too, that the Nashua Area Republicans Women Organization meets on Mondays in the 110 Inn. It's the following on the third Monday, I think. But look at the Nashua Republican City Committee's website for further information. And thank you for listening.
Good job.